Greetings and welcome to Transformation Stories. Thanks to Keto and Carnivore. I'm John Laspina, the Carnivore teacher, and today we're joined by an incredible guest who has completely transformed her life, Robyn, the Carnivorous grandma. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm so glad to be on the show. Thanks.
That's wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about your life before starting carnivore diet?
Oh my gosh. Well, so I guess it all starts when I was around food and eating when I was around 11. I realized that I was fluffy. I'll call it fluffy as a little girl, and I thought I needed to be on a diet. And so, I ate all the regular standard American things. And when I was a kid, they were coming out with all the cereals like sugar corn pops and fruity pebbles and all those, cereals and stuff, and a lot of processed foods. TV dinners and stuff were coming out. And so I felt fat at age 11. Although now that, when I look back in retrospect, I realize I probably wasn't fat, but I felt like I needed to be on a diet. And so I went on my first diet at age 11. And I tried to eat just like raw ground beef. And my mom was like, "You cannot do that because you're going to end up killing yourself. We're going to get some kind of disease from eating this raw meat." So I tried to eat just carrots for a while. My mom always dieted too, so she had like books around. She had the original Atkins diet book. And so I tried to go on a diet. From there, I just was like on a um, yo-yo diet roller coaster basically all of my life from that point on. Um, I always wanted to be a person who could just eat whatever I want and not gain weight, but I was not that person. So I tried all the diets. Um, when I was young, I was only about 18 years old when I had my first child. And then, from there, having babies and all of that thing, the weight just kept coming on and off. And I was really, really good at dieting. I was an expert dieter. I tried, anything that I heard about, I try it. So I tried the cabbage soup. I did Atkins. I did um, the medical weight loss. I did Weight Watchers, and nothing ever really stuck. I lost a lot of weight over the years, probably the same 50, 60 pounds over the course of all those years. I just kept gaining and losing because I was yo-yoing back and forth. But I had a high point, like I wouldn't let myself go over 200 pounds. Um, and so when I get up around like 198, 199, I've got to go on a diet and then I would lose a lot of weight. So I was really, really good at dieting. I was not good at maintaining. And I think it's because of the carb addiction, of course. Now I know that, but at that time it would just seem like, why is this not working? Why is this, eat less, move more, not working for me? It just doesn't work. And so that's like my story from before I found carnivore. I heard about carnivore way back. I can't even remember. It was when I was first on Atkins, like in the early 2000s. I heard about it. I heard about people that were just eating meat, and I thought, that's crazy. No one does that. That's insane. Like you're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna kill yourself eating just meat. And I kind of dismissed it, even though I was a little bit intrigued. And so I did not try it. I thought it was absolute insanity. Like, who does that? Um, the reason I ended up trying it was because I was on keto. I did keto for 5 years straight, and then I spent 5 years struggling trying to get back on keto after just an indulgence of like sweet corn in the summer. I had that sweet corn, and then I fell off the wagon of keto, and I could not get back on. And so I was watching Dr. Berry, and Dr. Berry went from keto to carnivore. And I was like, okay, so I can try it since I watched him do it.
Okay, that's extensive. Very similar to many people I know, but yet unique to your life. It sounds like with your mom, with doing the keto kind of a keto diet way back with Atkins, because Atkins kind of started this whole thing. You kind of knew more than most of us about. I mean, you were talking about the raw ground beef way back. I mean, who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
So other than, reaching that threshold of 200 pounds and you making that your reason to start yet another diet to try to lose weight, what physical or mental, emotional things might you have been struggling with? That
Oh
you didn't
gosh.
maybe you didn't realize it, but now that you're carnivore, you, in retrospect, realize
Mhm.
it.
So I had this thing I'm gonna call it racing thoughts. I think it's like a form of maybe anxiety, where I always would be obsessing over food. I would think about food 24 hours a day. As long as I was awake, I was thinking about what I was going to be eating next. You know, do I need to go to the store? Just constantly obsessing over food. And It was so funny because it kind of played out in a lot of different ways. Like I would not want my phone to ring because I would be afraid that something terrible had happened. I would tell people like, "Don't call me. Um, just text me." Once we got text messages, just text me because if my phone rings, I'm going to be afraid that something happened, and I would be just have so much anxiety over that. um, and so it that kind of anxiety played out in a lot of different aspects of my life. And when I realized after I went on carnivore, after about 30 days, I realized, oh my gosh, that is not a normal state of mind. I just thought it was normal. Like everybody thinks like this. Like nobody wants their phone to ring because they're all thinking that something terrible has happened. You know, I would immediately think that there's been a car accident or something bad happened. And I was actually on a live stream, and I realized that my phone rang and I just sent it to voicemail without even thinking twice about it. And I was like, oh, this is kind of crazy because I would never do that. I would just, my husband used to ask me, like, do you always answer your phone? Yes. If my phone rings, I have to answer it. I've got to see what happened. So, I realized that one day I was talking with my mom, and my mom was talking about food. And I realized I don't really want to talk about food. Like, I'm not hungry right now. I don't really want to talk about what I ate yesterday or what I'm planning to eat tomorrow. And that was really like a mind bender. Like I thought that that was my normal state of being, and it turns out that it's not. And literally, I think about food if I'm hungry or if I'm thinking about doing something for my YouTube channel. Like, I have to think about it in that way. But I'm not completely obsessed with talking about food. Like, what did I eat yesterday? Or, I don't want to hear what anybody else ate either. I'm good. I'm okay with not that constant obsessing about food. So there's a whole long list. I'm just gonna kind of run through it. IBS was a big one. I had IBS with constipation for as long as I can remember, and and when I went on carnivore, I had 30 days of diarrhea, 30 days straight. It was just really good for me that I had decided, like I said, I'm an expert dieter. I had decided that I was going to do 90 days no matter what. And I'm glad I chose 90 days because if it had been 30 days, I would have quit and I would not have experienced day 31 when I had my first normal bowel movement of my adult life that I can ever remember. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is amazing. And if you've ever been constipated, you know, like, not being constipated is the bomb. Nobody wants to be constipated. And so I've noticed that there are certain things that trigger that, certain foods, spices, and things like that. There's this food called chomps, these beef sticks. If I eat that, it will cause cause constipation. So, but in general, that has been completely alleviated on a carnivore diet. Um, and then I have my eczema, which has been really, really bad all of my life. Like I had um I had eczema, I had this look like I had a circle around the mouth, dark circle, and dark circles around both eyes. Sometimes it would be various areas on my face. I was the kid that had the darkness around the neck and the patches behind the knees and in the inside the creases of the elbows. I had eczema behind my ears. It would get raw and like weepy. It was really, really bad, like the worst. And then this hand eczema was so bad that when I went to go be fingerprinted to travel out of the country, my fingerprints were muted. Like they couldn't really get my prints because my skin had peeled off and, basically the skin on my hands had peeled off. And so, now, when I went to like dermatologists and stuff, they would tell me, no, this is not food related. Like, there's nothing that you're going to be able to do about this. Take this ointment, take this cream, take this cortisone, hydrocortisone, um, take these shots, even get in the tanning bed and do some tanning because the sunlight helps with it. But I knew that it was food related. I just didn't know what foods it was. And it turns out it's a lot of different foods. It's a lot of vegetables. I tried early on, I tried a little bit of broccoli and cauliflower. Those trigger my eczema. There's some spices that trigger the eczema. There's some foods that trigger it. And like heavy cream is one that really, really triggers it to flare up. And so I try to really, really limit my exposure to heavy cream because not only does it make me gain weight, it also causes this eczema to flare up. So, I mean, I knew that it was certain foods that was causing the problem. I just couldn't figure it out because there was so much noise in the system. And so that eczema cleared completely up to the point where my parents were like, wow, your face is really clear. That, people who know me and know how I've looked all my life, like they're shocked at how clear my skin is because I've always had those two black eyes and that darkness ring around my mouth. So that was a big one. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest ones, and it's the biggest, most visible thing that people can see, that my skin is very clear. And people ask questions like, well, what do you use on your face? I don't use anything. I just use water. Pretty much. I mean, like I have makeup, I have to wash that off, but um I just use basically water to wash my face. I'm not using any kind of skin regimen or anything like that. It's just my eczema cleared up and it really made a huge difference as far as, how my face looks. Um, so there's a few other ones. So there's like seasonal allergies that actually went away. I was a person that had allergies every season and took allergy pills once or twice a day, every single day, and then also Benadryl pretty much every single day of the year. And when right after I went on Carnivore, so I went on Carnivore on February 22nd, 2023. And that spring season, I didn't have allergies at all. Like I realized I was not taking any allergy pills. And I was like, wait a minute, because people were with their scratchy throats and the runny nose and sneezing and ears itching and all of the things. And I'm like, this is weird because I wasn't taking, I had big old Costco thing of allergy pills I still have that same container of allergy pills right now because I take it so rarely that it has lasted me. I mean, it's almost 2 years that I've been on carnivore, and I still have that same bottle of allergy pills, which is like a miracle. So, that was something that really, really changed. Not to say that I don't have them at all, but it's so insignificant compared to what I had before that it's, like, really amazing. Um, so things like dandruff. I used to have dandruff. I don't have dandruff anymore. I don't really have itchy scalp. Um, and that is something that I heard somebody talking about it recently, and I was like, oh, yeah, I don't have dandruff anymore. That's interesting. Um, deficiency anemia. So I've been anemic. Like I was not able to give blood. So many times I would go to try to give blood, and they would be like, "No, you're anemic. You can't give blood. Go home and eat some peanut butter or eat some liver or something like that." And then after 6 months on carnivore, I was no longer anemic. So, they wanted me to take iron pills. I never wanted to take them because iron pills make you constipated. So I was like, no, thanks. I wouldn't take them. But after 6 months on carnivore, that anemia went away. So, sleep apnea, I'm no longer using my CPAP machine, which is really cool because, I snored a lot and I would stop breathing and it was a big struggle. But my CPAP machine is just sitting over there, not being used right now. So that's really good. So there's a number of things that have happened, like less earwax. Which is really interesting. I used to have a lot of earwax and now I don't have as much. I have a little bit, but not nearly what it used to be. And then I noticed that my tartar is less, tooth tartar. So I gotta go to the dentist tomorrow. They'll verify this for me, but I feel like, when I look at my teeth, as long as it's been since I went to the dentist, I'm like, okay, so I have less tartar. I can definitely tell. So, there's some fun things like that that are just like bonuses, and I'm happy about them.
That's fantastic. That's a list. That is a heck of a list. They I like that you started out with the constipation, explaining that. And a lot of people who go on the carnivore diet, whether they ease into it like I did, and a lot of people did, or they jump right in and go cold turkey. They do the diarrhea because the body's getting used to it, but then later on they experience constipation,
Mm,
and I have heard that a lot of that can be alleviated by making sure you're getting enough animal fats. Like
that's
we
right.
don't tend to eat enough fat. Have you found that to be the case as well? Has that what you think has helped you not be constipated anymore? Enough fat?
I do think so, yes. So if you don't get enough fat, you may have, your stools will be firmer. I'll just put it that way. And if I don't get enough fat, that is something that could potentially happen. And yes, you need to be eating the fat. I mean, I think that's the thing is that we have been conditioned to believe that animal fats are bad for us and that they're going to cause us to have a heart attack. They're going to clog up your arteries, etc. And it's just actually not true. um, and so you need to eat the animal fat. One of the things that you have to cut out is that seed oil. They're toxic and they stay in your body for years and they're just, wreaking havoc in our bodies. They're not meant for human consumption. So when say seed oils, I'm talking about oils like canola and vegetable oil, grapeseed oil, sunflower oil, all those oils that are, they're really just not meant to be eaten. Um, it's not food. So, but things like bacon grease and lard and beef tallow, butter, ghee, duck fat, all of those things are very healthy oils to use and definitely can help with constipation. If you are on carnivore, a new carnivore, and you're experiencing constipation, the very first thing that you should do is increase your fat.
Yeah, I agree. And we tended to be lipophobic because you and I think we're about the same age. We went through those decades where fat was vilified,
Yes.
as well as eggs and meat and everything. All that stuff was vilified, and so now we tend to be afraid of fat. And
Mhm.
so I encourage people, and I think you do too,
Mhm.
even add more fat if because in America they cut the fat off the meat when you buy it at the store. It's not as fatty as it should be. And I
Right.
think that they need to do that too. My next question for you here is what tips would you give someone who is trying to go on the carnivore diet, but they're struggling with the adaptation phase? You mentioned something about the bowel movements, but there's other things that we tend to struggle with.
Yeah, so a lot of people deal with something called a keto flu when you get into a ketogenic state. And it makes you feel sluggish. You can feel like you have an actual flu. You might even run a fever. You'll feel, just kind of out of it. And so that is caused by electrolyte imbalance. And so I encourage people who are starting the ketogenic diet, whether it be keto, carnivore, ketovore, all the way lion diet, whatever they're trying to do. If you're particularly if you're coming from a standard American diet, with a lot of carbs, when you go on to into ketosis, your body is going to be expelling a whole lot of inflammation. So you'll find yourself probably urinating more. You'll see that, that you may be thirstier because you're just that inflammation is just pouring off of your body in the form of urine. And so, along with that goes electrolytes. So that's sodium, potassium, and magnesium, what your body needs. So you may experience things like leg cramps or foot cramps. You might feel, like I said, sluggish and run down. You might just feel sick. If you're feeling sick, you need to take some electrolytes. That would be the first thing that I would recommend for anybody that's starting to feel fluish. Not to say that you can't catch a flu, you can. But if you're starting to feel fluish or sluggish, or particularly leg cramps, you want to get some electrolytes in there, because keto flu is completely avoidable. You do not have to have the keto flu from going into ketosis, and um, and that's what we're talking about with adaptation, is that your body is going from, well, I'm going to call it, a sugar burner, right? So you're burning carbohydrates, and I'm calling it burning, but bodies don't burn, right? We metabolize our food and break it down into its component parts, which are utilized by the body. So, but I'm going to call it a sugar burner for simplicity. And you have burning a lot of carbohydrates, to now your body is trying to adapt to utilizing fat for fuel. And that is something that our bodies have been conditioned not to do by such an influx of carbohydrate. And so, because our bodies are conditioned not to be in ketosis, it makes us have to do this transition period where our body again learns how to get back into ketosis and have that metabolic flexibility to either burn carbohydrates or burn fat. So, yeah, you want to definitely get those electrolytes in there. That's one thing. And then we already talked about the high fat, making sure that you get enough fat. I feel that fat is very satiating. And so if you're hungry on carnivore, then you're not eating enough. And you're probably not eating enough fat, because you should not be hungry. You should be fully satiated. When you finish eating, you should be fully satiated, like to the point where the food is just like, I can't take another bite of this steak. It don't taste good anymore. And so, those are things that come along with adaptation.
Electrolytes now, for people who are listening to your advice, and I totally agree with you, with making sure that we supplement in the beginning. Where did you get your electrolytes? Where can we
So
tell people to find these? I mean,
yeah. So there's ways that you can do this, right? So you don't have to buy some expensive thing. I use a product called Element. I still use it even though there's a little bit of controversy over the maltodextrin that's in it. I'm okay with it. I've been using that for years, even when I was back on keto. I mean, so I've probably been using it as long as it's been out. And so that's one product. It's LMNT, and you can use that. It is an electrolyte powder. They also have a sparkling water version of it as well. But you don't have to do that. You can make electrolytes at home. You can add a little salt, add some good quality sodium to your food. And you should be salting your food because we are not getting enough sodium. I know that this is another controversial topic because we've also been taught that salt is bad for us, but we're really blaming salt for what the sugar did. And so we're undersalted. I'm going to say in the world right now, we're undersalted, but certainly in America we are because they're giving us a US recommended daily allowance of sodium that's just not enough to sustain us. So you need to have salt. You can get magnesium in a pill form. You can pick it up at the pharmacy. You can use that. You can get potassium as well. You can even make your own electrolyte drinks. There's lots of videos out here. I know like Dr. Barry and Nisha have a Ketorade video out there that I've used in the past when I wanted to make my own electrolytes at home. Even Element has on their website the recipes for how to make their electrolytes at your house. So you can buy the stuff on Amazon and put it all together and make your own electrolytes at home. So you can do this the expensive way or the cheap way. So, like Redmond's has electrolytes. There's Keto Chow, they have electrolytes. Um, so there's a lot of different places that you can get them from, but you can also get it and make it at home very cheaply.
that's good. Yeah, I use Redmond Relay, and I get the flavorless, unsweetened,
Mhm.
and the scoop they give me is too big, I think. So I have this little tiny scoop, and this thing of powder lasts me forever. So
Wow.
it's great advice. LMNT, or add some salt, make your own electrolyte powder. Keto Chow, Redmond, and it's very affordable. And
Yep.
then I've also learned, and tell me if you agree with this, that once you're fat adapted, keto adapted, and that takes a while, but once you're there, your body is not expelling all these electrolytes, and then you can back off. You can tell
Yes.
you don't need to give yourself as much. And then
That's true.
yeah, and I
Mhm.
also heard, salt to taste. Just listen
Yes.
to your body signals. If it tastes too salty, you don't need it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And some people are not using it salt at all.
True.
Like I think Dr.
Dr.
Chafee,
Chafee. Yeah.
he doesn't use salt at all. So, it's just going to depend on, I definitely think when you're first getting, through this transitioning phase, it's important to include those supplements. And I'm calling salt a supplement because that's really what it is for you during that adaptation phase. But certainly, if things are too salty, you can go ahead and reduce your salt as you're getting, as you're more fat adapted and your body is used to being in ketosis.
Great. Good stuff. Good answers. Changing gears a little bit now for the listener. What does a typical day of eating look like for you now?
Wow. So for the month of January, I have been doing a lot with fasting. Um, I found that I was struggling with my the balance between, having so much fat. I realized I can't do a lot of butter because of my eczema. So I did a couple of months of really high butter, like a whole stick of butter a day. I gained a bunch of weight, and then I also had some eczema flare-ups coming back because I can't handle the milk solids. So for the month of January, which is for my, I'm a church lady. So, so we do always a fast at our church every year, which is like an intermittent type of fast. But I like to do an extended fast at the beginning of the year. So I did a 3-day fast at the beginning of January, and then I started going into a cycle of between 17 and 22 to 24 hours of fasting, like a OMAD type of a thing. I wanted to see, like, if I reduce my eating window, how will it be? Basically. So for the month of January, that's been what I've been doing. So I've basically been eating pretty much one meal a day. There's been a few days where I've had two meals, like today I had two. But most days I've just had one. I usually eat bacon almost every single day. And so I'm a big fan and a big proponent of bacon. And then I like my ribeye. I love ribeye, actually. And a lot of times I will crave a ribeye, but ribeye is not always economical. So I eat a lot of ground beef. Burger patties, I'll just, I get my beef from the farm, and I'll make the burger patties and put them on the Ninja Foodie, and it's really good. I do like shrimp, so I eat some shrimp. I like chicken, so like today I had chicken wings, and I also had a half a ribeye. It varies, but a typical day for me will include like some beef, and probably some bacon. I'm not doing as many eggs these days. I feel like sometimes I get burned out on eating eggs, but I kind of fall into the category of like a BBBE. Um, but I use ghee instead of butter. I take the milk solids off of my butter so that they don't cause my eczema to flare up. But yeah, so it's real simple. I can say that because I am kind of a foodie and I like to cook a lot. But I try to make it simple. I mean, literally, everything that I cook takes like less than a half an hour. I mean, most things take like 10-15 minutes and I'm eating. So it's really the simplicity of the carnivore way of eating is really, really nice because you can be eating really fast.
I agree. It is very simple and enjoyable. I love my food too. And the
Yes.
list that you gave, I was just about until you said it, I was going to say, have you ever tried ghee? Because I know it's the milk solids that tend to give
Mhm.
people problems, just like it does for you. And ghee doesn't, does it?
No, it
That's
doesn't.
that's really interesting. Um, Exercise. Do you have an exercise routine that you include in your carnivore life?
Yes, I do. In the summertime, I usually do a lot of walking.
Okay.
I kind of fell off with my walking right after summer. But recently, over the last couple of months, I've been doing this 14,400 steps a day challenge for the last 2 months. And so that has been really helping a lot, because the more you sit, and sit at the desk, I work from home, and I just sit most of the day. Sometimes I'll stand in the morning. I like to try to stand for a few hours before I sit down. But I'm also gonna run a 5K again this year. It's been many years since I ran one. But I decided after I started that walking challenge, I started to feel good and like, okay, I think I can run again, which I didn't think I could because I have a bad knee. And I think they're like, running is not good for arthritis in your knees and stuff, but I feel great. I'm like, practicing for my 5K, and I'm going to run one in the spring. So I'm really excited about doing that.
That is great. That's great. Okay, let's change gears again. And has your family, have your friends and coworkers reacted to do they react the way you eat? And since you started this in February 22nd, 2023, did they react to it when you switched over? They noticed that you don't eat the same foods.
Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
yes. Oh, back when I first started, so as I said, I was always the dieting queen. So, they kind of got used to me being weird with keto because it was high fat and, I'm eating a lot of cheese and, all these different things. But when I went on carnivore, people were like, "Oh, she's doing this cute little meat thing. Oh, are you still doing that meat thing?" Yes, I'm still doing the meat thing. Um, and they look at you like you have two heads when you go to the restaurant, and they're like, "But it comes with fries," and I'm like, "But I don't want the fries. I don't want the fries." Just give me the burger patties, no bun. Don't give me any ketchup, no mustard, no nothing. Just two burger patties. And they're like, what? So, yeah, my friends and family found that to be strange, but they're used to it now, and they can see the benefits that I've had. You know, they can see the people that are close to me know, like, oh, yeah, it's working for her. So, not that any of them are trying to do it, not yet, but I think, I've encouraged my family and friends to eat more meat. Like, just eat more meat. You need to have meat in your diet. And so, where they're telling you to eat more vegetables or go plant-based, I encourage them to go to have more meat in their diet. And I feel like that's something that the family is doing. I'm talking to them about seed oils and saying these things are toxic, so they're trying to do small conversions um, towards this way, like, you know, I don't say that they don't use the vegetable oil, but I know that they think about it because I already told them that it's toxic, Um, and so, all my family are, well, most of them are on a standard American diet, but my husband recently he's kind of keto, maybe ketovore. And he's really leaning heavily toward carnivore these days. So I'm really excited about that. Um, and my daughter, one of my kids reached out to me and said, "Will you be my health coach?" And I said, "Yes, I will definitely be your health coach." So they're listening. And one of the things is that I'm pretty small. I mean, I haven't lost all the weight that I want to lose, but I'm pretty small, and so that is noticeable in my family. Like, they look and they see that, oh yeah, they think I'm skinny. I'm not skinny by any means, but they're like, "You're skinny, mom." I'm like, "No, I'm just eating meat." So, and it's really working for me. So yeah, I get some of those looks sometimes. But I mean, I feel like everybody in my family now is like I went to I went to a birthday party last weekend, and it was at a restaurant, and my grandson was sitting across the table from me, and I ordered two burger patties and four slices of bacon, and he was just staring at that plate. Like, he was really excited about the fact that I had, just bacon and beef on my plate. And then my grandkids know, like, I have 11 grandkids. I don't know if I mentioned that I'm likely gonna have some bacon in my purse that they can have. I'm gonna give them some meat, and they love meat, so hey, it works for them.
Do they know you as the carnivorous grandma? Do they know your handle?
They do. Yep, they do. They
11, that's
watch my
great.
channel, they
Oh, good.
watch my TikToks. Yeah, so they definitely know me as Carnivorous Grandma,
They
but they don't call
watch.
me Carnivorous Grandma, but
All right, but they watch your channel. That's
they do.
great. That's great.
Yeah,
I've noticed that friends and family don't want to listen to me, but like you said, I'm different. I look healthier. You look healthier. They're not seeing the eczema anymore in
right.
your face. They have to. So it's going in.
Yeah.
Everybody has to find it in their own time, just like you found things in your own time. So that is just wonderful. All right, have you found? I'm sure you have, but let's hear your supportive community. Community is so important. Where do you get your community support for this way of eating?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, there are a few things that I would mention. First of all, I started a new group recently. I started a new show on my channel. It's called Hey Sister Girl. And we started a Facebook group for women. And it is all about supporting and encouraging and empowering women to make these sort of lifestyle changes. And so it's really, really a great supportive community that we're trying to build. And so it's all about women at this time. We probably will have something for men one of these days, but right now it's focused at women. And so that's a big part of my community. We also have these Marco Polo groups that we started a while back. And so that's a smaller group of ladies that is just has like 24/7 access. You know what I mean? We can talk to them all the time, back and forth. We're Marco Poloing, we're sharing our lives together. So that's really, really nice. And that supportive community is really great. Um, and then also, of course, the Healing Humanity folks. Um, I feel like part of that family for Healing Humanity, the documentary with Carrie Mann and Adam Lacey. And that is like a huge community of support. I'm also part of Dr. Barry's group. I've been a part of that for a while. And so, I find my support in various ways because I do agree with you that it's challenging sometimes from a community perspective when you're the only person that's doing something, and maybe there may be one or two other people that but like in my area, nobody's doing carnivore except I'm forcing my husband to do it with me.
Well, it's important, especially for women. Now, I just attended uh, Low Carb USA, which is the
Mhm.
Symposium for Metabolic Health. The whole focus was on women, most of it.
Wow.
I learned more about the carnivore diet and just being in ketosis from a woman's perspective. What an education.
Yeah.
Um, what do you know that is different for women than men physiologically, emotionally, exercise, anything that it's different than men?
Wow, that's interesting. Um, so the first thing that comes to mind is that women a lot of times struggle to lose weight. And I think men have an easier go for weight loss, right? So you'll often hear people say, like, I went on a diet, my husband and I went on a diet. I lost 2 pounds and he lost 25 pounds. This happens all the time. Our bodies want to hold on to fat. Like, I think that it's probably natural that our bodies want to hold on to fat, right? So that is something that is challenging for women. And so women need support in that area. Um, and to know that, you know, first of all, that carnivore is not necessarily all about the weight loss. It's more so the healing aspects of it that are so incredible, that you're going to be feeling, energy and you're going to be feeling great. So those are things. Um, I've heard that fasting is different for women. I know that like Mindy Pelz put out a book called, I think it's called Fast Like a Girl. And so I have not read it yet, but I have heard that some of the things about fasting are different for women. And So, I mean, I'm just doing it. I'm doing it intuitively at this point. I have read Dr. Jason Fung's book, which is called The Ultimate Guide to Fasting. And so that book helped me a lot. And then I'm part of that support community on Facebook as well. So, just looking at what people are doing and seeing what kind of protocols they're using, things like that. Like women may have to fast, like do alternate day fasting, do 42-hour fasts, because if you want to do it for weight loss, that may be the only way, particularly if you've done a lot of damage to your metabolism through a lot of dieting like I have. um, you might have to do some more, alternate day type fasting. So, of course, the hormones are different, our metabolisms are different, but ultimately, carnivore is great for men and women. It is a healing protocol and it's going to heal your body from the inside out. And so that's what I love about it.
You're absolutely right. I can't agree more. Totally. And the hormones are very different, and the four different the parts of the cycle all affect everything. That's what I learned in
Mhm.
detail. It was just phenomenal. I'm going
I
to be
should have went to
making
that.
I'm going to be making some videos teaching what I learned. And
Nice.
at first I was apprehensive to go. I'm like, oh, it's all for women, right? And I thought, I need to go. I don't know any
Yeah.
of this information. And man, did I walk away with so many notes.
Oh,
So
that's
good. So
amazing.
speaking of Dr. Fung's book, what are your favorite books, podcasts, resources that inspired or helped you along the way?
Oh my goodness. Dr. Barry has to get the top of the list.
Okay.
Like, Dr. Barry has been such a blessing with all of his videos about every single thing that could possibly ail you. I have to give him the credit, because if it wasn't for watching him go on Carnivore and thrive, I may not have tried it, because it did seem crazy. I mean, it goes against everything that we've been taught. So, but he put out a plethora of videos. And so he is one of the tops. I always look at like Dr. Westman. Dr. Westman he's an OG. He was back there with Dr. Atkins when they were doing research together and wrote books together and stuff. And so Dr. Westman's a really good resource. There's so many, like Dr. Georgia Ede, and thinking about the mental health aspects of it. I really, really have concerns with that, because in my family, I have a lot of mental health concerns. As I mentioned, some of mine with you know, it's mental health really, that's anxiety, depression, those kinds of things are coming from a place of unhealthy mentally, right? And those carbohydrates didn't help that. So she's another one that's really good. I really love Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Tony Hampton. These guys are all just really, really incredible in the space. And of course, we got Carrie Mann and the Healing Humanity crew. I can't wait for the documentary to come out, because it's going to change so many lives. And so I'm really excited about that coming out. I think it's going to come out maybe the end of this year. I'm not sure. I think they were talking about potentially getting it out this year. So that would be incredible.
That's great. I am with you on every one of those people. I've heard their names. Dr. Westman, I got to meet him again. He spoke at the conference,
Nice.
and Dr. Kiltz was there. Uh, I've met Carrie Mann before. I mean, these are just amazing influencers,
Yes, they
role
are.
models, inspirational, and the movie I cannot wait as well. And I did hear Carrie talked about it's not just the movie that's coming out, but they have so much footage that they're
Mhm.
going to be doing these extended pieces that come out afterwards that are ongoing, which is we need this because there are
Mhm.
so many Netflix documentaries that are advocating plant-based, that are
Yes.
talking about all the other things and perpetuating a lot of the myths. So
Yes.
we need more of the carnivore stuff in our space out there for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, okay, are there any specific goals you're working on right now thanks to your transformation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really thinking about trying to hone in on some macronutrients, how much fat as opposed to protein
Mhm.
within the next. I want to try to start looking at that in February because I'm really a person that does not like to track anything. I prefer to just be intuitive but I've been thinking about, because of the thing of it is, if you listen to this person over here, they say high fat. If you listen to this person over here, they say high protein, right? So, what is the formula that's going to work for my body to achieve the goals that I have? And some of that goal is weight loss. Like, I know that I still have healing to do as well, but I do want to lose a few pounds. It would be nice to lose a few pounds. So I'm thinking about, what can I do to hone in on the macros? And I think that's going to entail some tracking and doing things like that. Of course, I mentioned my 5K that I want to run in the spring. And, I was thinking actually maybe I'll be able to run a 10K at some point. That would be cool. Maybe I'll be able to run a marathon. That would be really cool. So I have not set that as a goal or set my intentions on that yet, but I have set my intentions toward running that 5K in the spring. So I'll be driving towards getting that accomplished.
Excellent goals. They really are. Is there anything else you'd like to share that might inspire others?
Well, I just want to say, I always say this, and that is, just try it. If you have any kind of issues, health issues, if you've got heart disease or you have, you're metabolically unhealthy or you have autoimmune conditions like eczema, lupus, MS, all those different kinds of diseases, what will it hurt for you to try this, for 30, 60, 90 days? And see what it will do for you. I think that's the thing is that people are afraid to try and or they think, "Oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that." But you don't know what you can do until you try it. We can do hard things and we do hard things. So it is a mindset change, but you can definitely do it. And I highly recommend, I would recommend that every single person should try it, but then I might not be able to find meat. So,
True. There'll be none left for us. So
right.
thank you. This has been wonderful. Where can we find you on social media?
So I am on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram as Carnivorous Grandma, and it's CarnivorusGrama. So it's going to want to say grandma, but mine is
Right.
grandma. That's
Grandma.
what my grandkids call me, grandma. So on all three of those, I'm Carnivorous Grandma, and then I'm Robyn Heron on Facebook.
Robynheron.
Herron.
RRON on Facebook. All right. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Carnivorous Grandma. It has been a privilege and an honor to have you here. I met you at Austin, Texas. You looked fantastic back then. You look great here. Uh, Everybody's journey is unique and different, and you showed us how yours is and works. And I highly recommend this for people too. And I like what you said at the end. It's about getting healthy, not about losing weight. The weight is a byproduct, and the healthy part, man, it's transformed your life, and
Thanks.
it shows. It's fantastic. So thank you so much.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
All right, stay on for a minute. I'll talk to you after I end the recording.